Hi, my amazing planner friends. It's Jess from My Magical Planner, and today we're going to talk about Go Wild and the speakers there. So, going into Go Wild, I don't know what I expected, but it certainly isn't what I got. So, I think I thought it was going to be more workshoppy and like, this is how you plan this way, and this is how you do this, and this is how you time block. I think that's what I thought going in. But it was more of a, this is why we plan. And I had done a lot of things to try and prepare for the talks because I found, at least for me personally, if I mentally prepare for a talk, I'm much more likely to get more out of it. So I took notes, I tried to be present in the moment and stuff. And here are my takeaways. We're going to go through each speaker individually, and I'll tell you what I thought of their talk and everything. So we're going to start at the very beginning. So after we get there, we're at our tables, all excited and everything. And our first speaker is Angelica, I think it was, Trinidad from Passion Planner. She was kind of amazing. A great start to the conference. The first thing that she did when she got on stage is she had us all do a breathing exercise, which was a great way to get everybody to kind of calm down and focus, because you're all there and you're like, look at all these things, and getting you to go from that to focusing on the talks is really hard. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant of her. So I'm going to say that first. Her talk was kind of amazing as well. Like, she just seemed like a really relatable and amazing person. She's this awesome shop owner, and she talked about her journey. And it wasn't just, the journey of her company, but her journey and the things that she tried and the things that didn't work. So here are my takeaways. I have a little note card so I don't forget anything. So if I look down, that's what I'm doing. The first takeaway was things won't go as planned. So she talked about, I think it was her first endeavor where she tried to be like a baker first, but she didn't actually like it. So while she may have been good at it, it didn't work. And there's always going to be bumps along the road, and things are just going to go a little bit askew, no matter how hard you plan them. So true. Oh, I made a note here that said you should delegate when you can, and kind of spread that load. Just one person doesn't need to carry it. And I think that even though she was talking about it in a business aspect, I sat there and I thought about my life and the different aspects of things. And it's only, I'm in my 40s. I have 4 kids, and it's only now that I've gotten to a point where I feel like I can start to delegate things. Like, getting my house clean is an absolute privilege. It has also become a necessity because of my health. Currently, I just don't have the energy to keep up, and there are things that were getting missed. And so it's, even though it's a necessity in some ways, it's also a privilege to be able to afford that to come in. But that ability to delegate and let go has made such a huge difference in our life and freed me up to do other things, mostly decluttering right now. But I mean, just the overall aspects of it, of being able to be like, I'm not alone. I can ask other people, I can pay other people to do things, and it's okay, was really powerful to me personally. And then she made this comment about finding the fun. And all I could think in my head was, Mary Poppins when she's in the nursery and she's talking about, you find the fun in the chore, and then it's, snap. It's no longer a chore. And I think that's really true. So that was really authentic, and I just really loved that aspect. And because I'm a Disney person, I was like, oh, I got you. Then let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, she made this really powerful comment about, we give work the best hours of our life. And so I think her point was that, and it's been a couple of weeks now, But I think her point was that we give work so much, like all of these hours, that we want to make sure we're doing something we love and enjoy and can feel passionate about, and not be stuck in a job that's just going to drain us. And I think that's true for other aspects of life too. So, like with motherhood, there are aspects of it that are incredibly draining, but focusing on the good aspects and finding those little pockets of joy are so important. She also had this comment about decide what's going to get your attention. And the fact that it's a conscious decision hadn't really occurred to me. Like, I decide today what I'm going to focus on. Am I going to focus on the house being clean, for instance? Or am I going to focus on my kids and making sure they have what they need? Am I focusing on teaching when to cook? Am I focusing on driving techniques? You know, just the variety of things. And what am I choosing to use my time as? And I hadn't really thought about that, but in a planner aspect, we plan that out. We take the time when we're doing our planning to be like, what is my focus going to be? And I guess even though you do it, like putting more conscious thought into it just makes it more meaningful. And sometimes you choose different things that way. And then her final thing was kind of how important mental health was, and how if you don't take care of your mental health, everything else kind of falls apart. And I think it was a great talk to start the conference because it really set the mood for what everything else that was going to follow was going to be. I've heard some people talk about how it was a self-development more conference than a planner conference. And I think there were aspects of that. It just wasn't everything. So anyhow, that was our first speaker. Next we had, I think there was a break. So some people went and took stuff to their rooms. I didn't. I kind of stayed at the table. Well, I walked around. That's when I filmed everybody's tables. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it up above for you guys with the whole story of how I thought I was recording before and I wasn't. And yeah, but it has all the swag. So I'll post that up above for you guys. And then our next speaker was Amy Tangerine. So I've heard of Amy Tangerine. I don't know, like, I was kind of like, okay, but what's the big deal about her? So bad, right? But she came out and she gifted us all these like little books like this. And she took us through how to like do different parts. So these were actually, she was like, you can either follow what I'm putting here or you can put your own thing in. And she kind of took us through page by page what she put on them and how she did it. And you could either follow along and do it. I didn't because I didn't want to open up some of the products, but I am looking forward to working in this and kind of just having a fun day with it because I think that would be really amazing. It gave a different way of journaling is what I took away from this. And she gave us some different techniques and kind of gave us the opportunity to play with elements in a really fun and unique way that I hadn't thought of. So she's an amazing artist and really inspiring. I'm going to be looking at more of her stuff for sure. So, and I think she has a new book coming out because she gave us a code so that people from Go Wild could pre-purchase it, which was really fun. After Amy was this person called, let's see, something friend. I'll put her name up because I can't remember right now. But she was more on the self-development side. I think what I took away from it is some different journaling techniques and some different things that we should be thinking about in our journaling, which I know isn't everybody's cup of tea. One of the key aspects that I really stuck with me is she talked about the difference between surviving and thriving, which I hadn't really thought about because I felt like for the last couple of years with all of my health stuff and just, you know, the weight of the world and everything, I've been in survival mode. And survival is a noun. And thriving is a verb. And when you're thriving, you're growing, you're doing things, and it's an action. And I hadn't really thought about the difference between the two. And so that was really interesting for me. Um, she talked a lot about purposeful living and putting thought into things. One of her things was, how do you want to feel? This was more in the context of goal setting. So it was like, how do you want to feel? And what is one thing that you can do to kind of get yourself there? And I thought that was really powerful. She also talked about negative self-talk and gave a technique where you write down your negative self-talk to kind of get that tape out of your head, and then you cross it out on the paper so you're physically doing something to get rid of it, which I thought was interesting. She also, as far as goal setting, talked a lot about picking a word. So like a word of the month, a word of the week. I think you could even do a word of the day to kind of focus your energy and have a goal in mind of, this is what I want to do. And she also talked about this concept of having 3 words that all start with the same letter that really define what you want to do. And that was a little harder. It's something I want to go back to, but I thought it was interesting. But I think her whole point of her talk was, when you're setting your goals, you need to look at these other aspects as well. And I thought that was really powerful. Honestly, the first day was like hard hitter after hard hitter for me. So after her, we had a smaller workshop that was digital planning. So I don't really do digital planning. I've looked at it a little bit. I don't have an iPad that it would work on. And so I've just kind of been like, it's cute. But she made some really good points about it being more cost effective. And she talked about using hyperlinks and that kind of thing. Like, I use a digital planner in the aspect of, I have an Apple Calendar that my family shares, and similar to like a Google Calendar. And just, we have everything on there. That's like my core calendar where my entire family can see it. But this was more in a decorative aspect, and the cost savings of just buying a sticker once and being able to use it for infinite amount of time, and the resizing and everything. And she kind of took us through how you do all of that. And it was interesting to see. I don't know that I could ever go that route, but I don't know what next year's going to bring either. So it was good information to have. And I think that was the type of information I thought the entire conference was going to be. So it was interesting. I think it was less than 10 minutes, to be honest. It was a really short segment. After that, we had a bigger break. I went upstairs and did, because they had these energy breaks. I think a lot of them were sponsored by maybe Cloth and Paper. And they had things like these little croissant egg sandwiches. There was a little bit of fruit, a little bit of vegetables, and maybe hummus, some cookies. There were smoothies. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, soda. Although the soda was warm, I was very sad. Everywhere I went in DC, though, soda was warm. I don't know if they had a thing against selling cold soda, but I kind of felt like they did. Or maybe it was just the places in walking distance. It was sad, especially with the hotel not having refrigerators. Ice in the sink or ice in the little bucket that they give you for champagne or whatever work really well. Anyhow, so after break, we had Alex Ellie, and she was our final speaker for the day. So the one thing that was really interesting is we had this huge block from 8 to 2, and you didn't really get any breaks long enough to go get a meal. So you really had to take advantage of those energy breaks to get something or bring a snack with you. And so final speaker was this person, Alex Ellie, and she's an author. maybe even a life coach. I'm not sure. She also has a podcast, and her book is How to Heal. So she had us do a lot of interesting exercises, and not everybody was into it. Totally get it. Not everybody's cup of tea. But one of the things she had us do was this mirror talk thing. So you got up with you picked a person to work with. I think it would have been more effective if I had known any of the people, but I wanted to make sure I tried everything they asked us to do. So essentially, what you do is you look at the person, and the other person is not supposed to respond in any way, like no smiles, no tears, like no hugging, no comments, nothing. You just stare at the other person, and the person is supposed to do 60 seconds of affirmations like, this is what I'm good at, this is what I do. It was incredibly hard. Like 60 seconds is a long time. And both me and my partner, who I really liked, had a really hard time coming up with things, although she was better at it than me. But it was really interesting that it was so challenging. And I could also see, like, I had a conversation over lunch with a person, and she talked about doing it with her husband and how meaningful she felt it could be in a marriage situation. And I was like, yeah, that could be incredibly powerful. So I don't think it was planner related, and I don't know how to take her stuff into the planner realm, but I do think it was a good talk. So we did that. We also did another exercise where you were back to back, or in my case, there were 3 of us. So we kind of made this triangle, and you linked your arms, and she played a song, and you would squeeze the other person, like her arm, if anything was meaningful and stuff. And so that was really interesting. If you were back to back, you could have picked up on breathing techniques. It definitely would have been a more intimate, I think, thing if you had known the person and understood their story or knew their story, because these were almost complete strangers to me. I didn't know anything. One of them, I didn't even know her name. So it was a little weird in that aspect, and I totally get why a lot of people were like, I'm not doing that. No, not for me. So we did that. She also talked about this concept of seen, safe, and supported. And then she asked the group, when was the last time that you felt truly supported? And she waited a beat and then asked everybody, when was the last time you didn't? And a lot of the people in the room were speaking up and being like, today was the day that I felt supported because I'm here. But when I'm home, I don't feel that. And I kind of added to this sense of community of, these are women who, and men, there were some men, who came together and, we're supporting each other in this endeavor. And there was a lot of love and aspects of that. I did get a little uncomfortable, I think, in the aftermath of this, where people were standing up and talking about this experience and everything. And it felt more almost religious in a lot of aspects, and a little uncomfortable for me, because it felt like I was getting a sneak peek into these private lives. And yes, they were publicly talking about them, but it's so bad. I almost wanted, like, my mental brain was waiting for someone to say, like, stand up and be like, hallelujah. I don't know why, but that was kind of the atmosphere that I felt. And so I was glad that that was the final talk of the morning. We got a huge break, so from like 2 to 7. I was a little concerned about that 7 o'clock time frame, because my energy after 6 goes down quite a bit. But like I said, I wanted to try and partake with as many things as possible. So I came down. Our next person was the zebra lady. At least I think that's what she is. She was like, think Legally Blonde, like all in pink and just super high energy blonde. And I was just like, oh wow. But she was fun. So she came up, we had zebra packets on the table, and she taught us a few techniques on how to use the zebra markers and pens and things, and how to use the brush pens. But it was really fast. I feel like it was 5-10 minutes, but I'm not positive. She was definitely a fast talker. She had us write affirmations on our little zebra cards, which were, approximately yay size. So, and we just kind of decorated and played with the markers, which was kind of fun. In theory, you were supposed to give one to somebody, but that part kind of broke down a little bit. I think maybe because she was running short on time and didn't want to run into the next person. Okay, after the zebra lady, we had a DIY blogger. What's her name? Hold on, I'll look it up on my schedule. Her author was Amber Kemp Gerstel. I think that's her name. Anyhow, she's a big DIY blogger, and this aspect was a little bit more like scrapbooky. So essentially, there were these big sheets of paper on the table, on like 12 by 12 sheets, and she walked us through how to make them into, like, using one sheet of paper to make an album, which was just a lot of folding, and I'm still not sure if I did it quite right. But it turned out it's a cute concept. And I think it's on her blog as well. So I will try and link her below. But this was not what I was expecting, to be honest. But it was a cute aspect because a lot of planners are scrapbookers as well. And so I could see how the two could bleed together. And the thought being you could use it as like a little journal or put some photos in it, whatever. Not for me, but I thought it was really cute anyhow. So that was our next little workshop in the evening. Then we had a small session with Tisha, I think it's Tisha, from Sweet Kawaii Designs, and she had these little keychains with our cute little guys on it, and some beads, and little, like, I want to say wire, but it wasn't wire. Like plastic thread. Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. That you thread it through and you kind of connect it to your keychain. Thought this one was really cute. I kind of liked the keychain just the way it was, and I couldn't tie mine on, so I didn't end up doing that. And that was kind of the 3 little mini crop sessions that they had for us. And then you had a big, now by this time it's like 9:20, and we have our big crop breakout. So I had signed up for Kelva Plan. There were a couple others, like Once More with Love did one. I think Wrong Wrong did one. But there weren't enough for everybody. So there was also a big crop room. I don't know what happened in there or any of the other classrooms. So for the Kelva Plan one, I think there were about 100 of us in the room. So she gifted us all planners, and then we also got a couple of pages from her new sticker book to use. And the concept was that we were going to go and make these pages that you could potentially laminate or whatever to be a tracker. So this is mine, and I just kind of slapped things together a little bit because these stickers, I think they're really cute. I don't think they fit my style. Like, I do like the words and I do like the boxes, but the more decorative aspects aren't quite me, and I don't like the amount of white around them. That's just a personal choice for me. It's not anything against her stuff. Should I have known that going into the class? Absolutely. But I saw the word sticker and I just went with it. Have I watched Calva Plan stuff? Of course I have. She was one of the first planner bloggers or whatever that I came across. I learned a lot of techniques from her. She started out with a happy planner. Did I know that she had made her own line? Not really. I think I kind of knew a little bit that she had her own sticker books. I didn't know she had her own planner, but it was still kind of cool to be in the same room with her. She showed some examples of some different pages that she did, and I think I was expecting more technique. So I was a little disappointed in that aspect, but at the same time, it was so late at night. We were all so tired that even if she had done like some, like, this is some new technique, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't know if it would have sunk in because I was so tired. I did meet Planners and Tacos right after this, and we took a quick picture together, so I'm going to insert that here. That was it for that day. The next morning was definitely, like, I wasn't sure, do you line up for day 2? Is that a thing? So I did go a little bit early, not quite as early as the day before, just to be down there. I think I went maybe half hour early because there wasn't as big of a push to be, the first in line and all of that. And I wasn't sure what to expect from the second day. I was definitely feeling pretty worn out at that point because I had been up so late the night before and the early mornings. So went down, and that day I decided I wanted to sit more towards the center of the room. And so here's the thing about being an introvert. The other introverts, generally speaking, don't sit in the middle of the room. So the people I sat with were really wonderful, and I think they were great. However, I didn't have the same type of connection I had with the people I sat with the first day. I think in part because we were all so tired, and because they were a lot more outgoing and rambunctious than I was, and I couldn't keep up with their energy. So bad. So, okay, day 2, we start off with Bess from Lights Planner Action, and she has the most incredible outfit. Like, she looked amazing. I have a picture of it, so I'm going to insert it here. She just looked incredible. And she came on stage and she's talking about, how she had been using paper to kind of self-soothe for years and not really realizing it until her therapist told her. And so she comes and tells us, like, we all have this piece of paper on our I want to say desk, no, table. And she teaches us the different techniques. So the first one is just that, folding paper in and of itself, especially if it's a really nice quality paper and has a good texture to it, can be really soothing. So she teaches us how to fold it into, we folded it in a special way to make force, because it was going to be part of something we did later. So the next thing she did, and we have these really amazing paint pens. I'm looking to see if I have them on my desk. I do not. But she gave us paint pens. I used just the silver, but there was a gold as well. And the first thing she had us do was this one, where it's just straight lines and you're engaging a different part of your brain. So if you're anxious about something, the soothing technique of just being able to do, straight lines, it engages a different part of your brain and allows that anxious part to kind of relax a little. And then we went from this one to a squiggly line technique where we were engaging a little bit more of that brain and doing slightly different things. Then we added some obstacles in the way and just made a spiral, which was kind of fun. And then the last was kind of a combination of everything. So you wrote a word and then you kind of filled in with the other things. And I thought this was really fun. I, as a matter of fact, made the suggestion that I think she needs to make a doodle workbook where she shows us a different doodle technique and then gives us a page to doodle on. And I think it would be amazing. I've actually been looking for just the black paper to be able to doodle on because she gave us these really amazing journals, but I just want the black paper. So anyhow, and then on the other side, she had us write some different things. The first one was a journaling technique where it says, I am proud of, and then you wrote the things that you were proud of using these really fun pens. And then we had, I am grateful for, and you wrote some things that you were grateful for. And then the last one that she did was one I had never thought of. So she said, I want you to think about a friend and think about her going through the exact same things that you're going through. And now I want you to write a letter to her. And I was like, oh. Oh. It was really enlightening to be like, these are the things I would do for my friend. Why am I not willing to do those for me? So, and the support I can give myself. Yeah, it was really powerful and I loved her talk. So after we did all of Bess's little things, her final finale was to make this piece of paper into a heart, which I thought was really fun. It showed you more of those folding techniques and more of an origami type take on things. And it was just kind of fun to do something different with paper. And yeah, really enjoyed her talk. After her talk, I think it was the founders panel, but let's double check. Yes, it says that we had a break and then the founders panel. So the founders panel, yeah, I just wasn't a fan of the founders panel. I didn't feel there was anything that was worthwhile for me. I had submitted a question because there was an ability to submit a question in the app. It wasn't like they didn't even address those. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, totally tuned out in this part because it didn't have anything that felt relevant to me. Possibly because I was hungry and tired. So we have the founders panel and then I think a break. And then we had Post Secret. And I loved the Post Secret talk. Totally not planner related again. Post Secret was this concept of this guy who had started a project where he went around and he handed out postcards to people and asked them to write a secret on it and mail it back to him. And he got all of these really creative postcards back and he took us through some of them. It was a really powerful talk and very meaningful. It talked about our connections and how secrets bring us together, but definitely not a planner talk. And I thought it was interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it so much. I went out and after he was done speaking, I purchased his book off of Amazon. So like really enjoyed his talk, but it was not a planner talk. So we had that. After that, we had a panel of the CEO of Erin Condren and Lauren Denise Plans. And I don't know if it was because I was just a little, I don't know, turned off by the CEO. I again felt like there wasn't a whole lot here for me as a planner opposed to a shop owner. And I know there's a lot of overlap, and that a lot of people who go to Go Wild are shop owners, because they do have that shop owner summit. But I didn't really understand why this talk was there. So I don't know. Can anyone explain it to me? But I didn't really enjoy this one. I'm not going to enjoy every talk though, and that's fine. And not every talk is meant for me. That's kind of the perspective I have. Then we had a Q&A section. Maybe this is where all of the different founders from the different places were. And then the audience was asking questions. This was really... So there was one founder, and I'm not going to name names, who I felt like maybe dissed some of the other founders a little bit. And just the way that she was talking kind of turned me off a little bit. And I was like, I don't know that I like this. And so I just doodled in my notebook. So day 2 was a little harder for me, obviously. After that, to kind of warm us up for the finale, there was a group that came in. I think they were called Pinch Perfect. They did some theme songs from some different TV shows from like the 80s and 90s, which was really fun. And then they got us all to participate in singing this round. I can't remember what song it was, but I have a clip, so I'm going to insert that clip here. And it goes on and on and on, yeah. I throw my hands up in the air sometimes, saying, hey, oh, baby, let's go. And it goes on and on, hands up in the air sometimes. It was a great way to bring everybody back together. And then after them, we had Renee Goldberg. She was Angelica from the Schuyler Sisters in Hamilton, which I love. I haven't followed her career. I didn't know the extent of her career. So it was kind of interesting to kind of hear her story and the different things and how things have played out for her. I was so taken with her talk that I didn't write notes. I didn't do anything else. I just listened to her, and it was an amazing talk. I felt uplifted. I felt seen, for lack of a better way of putting it. And like, she was so authentic. Like, there was one point where someone talked about a subject that was dear to her, and she was like in tears with this person and gave them a hug, and it was a really sweet moment. So I don't know, she was just amazing. If you ever get a chance to go and hear her in person, like speak, I don't even care what it's on. Just go and hear her speak, because she is amazing and her life story is amazing. So that was our grand finale. So parting thoughts on the whole conference, right? Because we go, like, your ticket is supposed to pay for these talks, right? The swag is kind of bonus. The food is kind of bonus. So I would say it was a great conference. I learned a lot of things. I don't know that I would have classified it as a planner conference. The first day, definitely. I got a lot of planner things out of it. Some bits of the second day. There were definitely aspects where I was like, how does this fit in this shell? And I still haven't worked that out. I almost think the conference was too long, to be honest. I think one full day of really amazing talks and maybe a little bit of a second day would have been more than enough for most people. So I don't know. Am I going to go back? Probably. But it is definitely an interesting aspect when you're thinking about what is the talk experience. So, anyhow, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys thought of the speakers at the conference if you went, and if this was helpful for you guys. But until next time, I'll see you guys real soon.